trade a lot of his privacy for, $10 a month. In his case, maybe $1 a month at this stage. He's trying to make a little bit of money here for the summer. On the other hand, would I trade any of my privacy away at all? No, not at all. And so the opportunity for innovation to both create these opportunities and responsibilities in the modern world, I think, is high. The cloud. Everything about the cloud is a little bit different when it comes to technology. The software that we've mostly built for my 30 years at Microsoft is software that says, we want the computer to do X. Let's write programs that just do them. In the new world of the cloud, we actually have the opportunity to learn from what is going on in the world and in the internet. Maybe it makes more sense sometimes to statistically estimate what you probably meant than deterministically give you an answer. You could see this in our spell checker. We've had a spell checker built into our word processor for years. It'll help correct your spelling. The best word processor we have today, I think, is probably the one that's built in our search engine, because it is actually statistically correcting spelling, getting feedback, learning, and improving. Craig showed you maps of the world that are constantly getting better. Not only better in terms of the map data themselves, but the images, the Twitter feeds, the blog posts that describe what's going on. The cloud can learn about you and personalize to you. Craig talked some about that. The cloud enhances social and professional interaction. We all think about, okay, Facebook, Twitter, social networking. The truth of the matter is, consider the following problem. Suppose we wanted to set up a secure little website for everybody in this room to post and share information about this conference. Well, while you're sitting here, we hand you a laptop and you get an account, and life's pretty good. But if we want to just pop that up and make it really easy for an arbitrary group of people to get together and collaborate on a topic securely, which is what most businesses will tell you they want to do, at least with their employees, customers, trading partners, not easy to do today. The opportunity to use the cloud in new ways to enhance interaction is high. The cloud wants smarter devices. Some of your IT people will come to you and say, we're taking it all back. We're moving everything back into the data center. It's going to be like the good old days. We're not going to use mainframes anymore, but we're going to bring it all back. That's the best way to get security and compliance and simpler meetings at the audit committee, blah, 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 blah. The truth of the matter is that's not what's going to happen. The cloud actually wants smarter devices, smart devices that are secure and manageable and low cost, but the cloud wants smarter devices. If we want these devices to learn about you, to help you collaborate in new ways, and you see that, smarter and smarter phones, smarter and smarter PCs, smarter televisions, which we barely scratch the surface of, happening even as we speak, with the kinds of next generation user interface that Craig talked about. And last but not least, the cloud's going to completely change what we think of as a data center. The software, the hardware, I kind of wish I had one, but we have these new shipping containers. They're just full. These shipping containers come full of computers. I mean, they have storage, they have computing power, they have network capability. The goal over time is you throw it down a slab of concrete, you plug in a power source, you plug in a network connection, and you plug in a garden hose. The garden hose is for cooling purposes. It used to take a fire hose. We've been working with partners now, you get it down to a garden hose. And the cost and complexity of building software and deploying data centers and doing things on a geographically distributed basis changes. Now, we will do that in services that we provide to you. And we've been busy selling services for communications and collaboration. But many of you will say, I'm not willing to trust my business yet. I'm not really willing to put the account database for my bank in your service run by your employees. Many governments are sure it's the other government that has access to the information in these shared data centers. And there is some confusion. If a U.S. company doing business in Brazil has a data center down there, which number of Patriot Acts is it subject to disclosure on? I mean, I actually posed the question and I really don't know the answer. The U.S., the Brazilian, the Chinese, how will this get sorted out? I don't know. We're going to have to work these issues through. And in the meantime, we need to make sure that these advances that drive the cloud services that Microsoft and Facebook and Twitter and the people we compete with, those same advances you can use to reduce the cost and complexity of computing in your own environments as well. And so we see a kind of a new generation of, you could say, data center in a box, slab of concrete. I get sort of pushed by government officials. They all say, please build a data center in my territory. Please, please. Build one here in, I've had pressure both from the Flemish and the Wallonian government in Belgium. You build one place, you got to build them the other. The truth of the matter is, there's only about 2 people who work in these large data centers. So it can't be about jobs. And the truth of the matter is, right now, we built a massive one of these things in Chicago. There are far more jobs in the construction of the data center than in the operations. But if you're really just throwing down concrete, a little bit of a roof, and some shipping containers, the cost and complexity that comes out from the hardware, in addition to the improvements we make so that the software can be run around the world, backed up, managed, seamless, is really quite different. I want to wrap with just a bit of a discussion about some things you should look forward to, talk to your CIOs about, push on over the course of the next year or so. We happen to be in the middle of a particularly great product flow. We have a new version of our Office product, our SharePoint product, our Exchange product, our database product, our Windows product, blah, 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 blah. But putting these things together to deliver business value, we think we have more that we can do for you in the next year than in a long, long time. Changing the way people find, access information, and make decisions. I don't know about the rest of you, but when things hit the fan during the economic times, I actually wanted to take some numbers, take a look at debt as a percentage of GDP, over history, cross-refer it with some business results. I had a picture of the spreadsheet in my head. 2 weeks later and 4 analysts' time, and I actually had what I wanted. But I could have described it. We're much closer to having the technology now that lets you build that against both internet data and the data that lives inside your own companies. Conferencing, communication, collaboration. Phenomenal improvements that you should expect this year. The way you broadcast, publish, communicate with your people. One of the remarkable things to me is all CEOs care a lot about communicating with their folks, and yet the infrastructure that we find in a lot of companies really doesn't make it easy. How would you have a webcast and talk real time to your people? How would they give you real-time feedback about what they're thinking without overwhelming you? What's the equivalent of private Facebook, private Twitter that really you kind of keep intramural, so to speak, in the company? Phenomenal things coming this year. Agile business process. Somebody asked earlier, it's still way too hard to essentially customize one application and solder it to another. Get your people to ask us about it. We think we've got ideas. Website interaction, and then a whole host of things for security, cost, and management of IT itself. So I think you should expect, whether it's from us or the industry at large, you should push and you should expect a lot more. We happen to be in a hot wave. Some of the guys we compete with are in a hot wave. I encourage you to really push and test the subject with the folks who work for you, because I think this will be a year of a fairly unprecedented opportunity for enterprise organizations. With that, I want to stop.